And I am very pleased to introduce Sheila Clemenson. She is a repeat BoulderNet presenter. She's a certified career coach with over 20 years of experience in hiring, coaching, and advising job seekers, employees, and management in a variety of industries. She's also a very nice person, and she also lives in Louisville, where I live. Sheila, it's all yours.
She's muted.
Hi, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here, muting myself. I love the involvement of this group. I love how you all support one another, and I think that it's priceless. So, whenever somebody reaches out to me and they're like, hey, will you present to our group? I'm always like, what do people need? Like, what do people really need to know? Because I think that, this, as you had mentioned, Trent, the skills that you need for job searching are completely different from the skills you need for other things, right? And so I do think it's important to keep that in mind. And at the same time, it's important to make sure that you try to be as nimble as you possibly can in what you're doing. This idea of this presentation came from a virtual conference that I participated in that was kind of geared towards the HR world and the employer side. And I just kind of turned it on its head and turned it around to the job seeker side. And as a career coach, I want to say with my HR background, I think what I have the most fun with and specialize in is career transition, but also job search strategy. And this is being the solution in an elastic workforce. Where this comes from is the opportunity that we all have to be nimble in how we can meet the differing needs that are happening within the labor market and the job market, right? And some terms that I want to share with you guys that were new to me, and they might not be new to you. Quiet hiring is one of them. Quiet hiring is when a company, instead of hiring for different skills and positions, is retooling, reskilling, and retraining the other people that are in their current candidate and work pool, employee pool, and looking for that development and promotability, which is what a lot of people really want, right? But this is also, how companies are getting away from or supporting, their hiring process. So very similar to what we were talking about. I think Douglas Munson talked about, the pharmacy tech thing, and pharmacy techs are so hard to find right now. You can probably go someplace and they'll pay you to become a certified pharmacy tech, right? I mean, so it's really interesting to know that, there are certain things that you can get paid to do because they need people so badly. But I think more and more it's about how do we look at the skills that we have and then bring that forward. Some other skills that we're looking at and some other terms that I want to bring forward is career cushioning. And career cushioning is people who do have other opportunities, whether they're contract, whether they're remote. Now they got to go in the office and they don't want to do that. So some people talking about that. And, it's becoming, people are really looking at work-life balance. What do I need? What am I willing to compromise? And what am I not willing to compromise, and moving forward from there? So just a couple of really interesting new terms that I'm starting to see a lot with my client base as well. So what I want to use our time to talk about, and I want this to be participative. So I really want to invite and encourage people to take themselves off mic, have the conversation. Let's talk about what you need, because this is focused around you and giving you some additional support, okay? When we look at considering our skills and our qualities and, what do companies want to invest in? We say knowledge, skills, and abilities, strengths and values and talents. So from this quiet hiring piece, they're looking for people, obviously, that they can train, but that is becoming harder and harder. What this conference also focused on was with the boomers retiring, and as that's happening over time, and even though retirement's becoming something very different than it was with our parents and other generations, we're looking at what is it that people need, and when we look at the deficit that might be happening with those retirements, they're talking about an 85 million global worker deficit. And when you're sitting here looking for a job, you're like going, okay, well, that's all well and good, but what does that look like for me when I'm feeling like things are pretty competitive over here, right? And so, I think it's just fascinating, though, when you look at BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and they're like, yes, there's a lot of need for a lot of different kinds of positions, right? What are those positions? How can we, be more transitional and pivot within our own skill sets to support positions and industries and other places? I think that we're just going to have to start being more creative with how we put ourselves out there and not think that we can just put ourselves out there in one way and we know what that is. I think that's about organically connecting with what needs are and opening up to other areas. And we're going to talk more about that. Finding ways to be more competitive in the hiring process. We've all talked about some of that, and we're going to talk about that more. In addition, we're going to talk about understanding talent challenges in the job market. Is there any way that you can fill the gap in certain professions or bring your skills to another industry that needs you? We're going to talk about that as well. Now, this picture I couldn't resist posting because, how many times have you seen that street performer down in Boulder off Pearl Street, and they really are doing this, right? They're riding the unicycle, they are juggling everything. And this brought to mind for me what employers are looking for in terms of skills for the people that they're wanting to hire, right? Like their wish lists are sometimes unicorns. And, we can look at those lists and we can look at the job requirements and the qualifications and think, is someone going to have all of that? Are they really going to have all of that? And I'm going to tell you, probably not. And so with that being said, sometimes companies can wait for a unicorn, but most often they're really just trying to get their most important pressing problem needs met. And so this is also looking at how do you solve the company's problems? How do you bring your unique skill set to what it is that you want to be doing? And how do we look for bridges and transitional areas that you can take advantage of to, I think, find a foothold for yourself in being one of the unique candidates that they want to talk to and look at that aren't the 200 other people that applied to the position. So I think what I look at is how can we make you a really unique candidate, and how can we align you with a position that really has a strong need for just those specific skills. Okay. So we're going to talk more about that. I want to check in with regard to skills, abilities. Where do you personally hit the bullseye in what you bring to a position? And where I'm going with this is I work with my clients to really understand what makes them unique. Where are they the best person for the job? why should I hire that person based on what my needs are as an employer or as a department? When I look at people at this point in our careers, for a lot of us who've been doing this for a while, our wheelhouse is large. Okay, there are a lot of different things that we can do, and there are a lot of things that we do well. There's some things that we maybe don't do as well or that we don't like. We tend to call those job burnout areas. And within those job burnout areas, what does that look like for you in terms of being engaged in what you do? Sometimes job burnout areas are things you do exceptionally well that do not energize you and actually deplete you. So I think it's really important from our skill set to look at what is our bullseye? How do we go out from that bullseye and widen our net a bit more? In that bullseye, we're looking at our sweet spot where we're in the zone, and 99.9% of the time when we put ourselves out there, we are most successful and effective. If we home in on that and we define that and identify that and make sure that is readily apparent in our resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, that we're top of mind in our profile when we're sending this out to people, we actually can address the problem that we help solve for the business and for the department. And I think bringing that top of mind, that that's something that you bring some very special skills and abilities in for, is going to help them pay attention to you more than they're going to pay attention to someone who does not do that. So when we might look at some of these things, right? Yes, from a technical skills perspective, we're like, yes, we need the specific job knowledge, the equipment and computer proficiency. We need to know certain software programs. Maybe we need to have some business technical writing experience or background, graphic design, some different things, depending on what that job calls for, right? I think that you're going to notice a lot of jobs out there, they're wanting to do a lot more with less, and they want you to be expansive as a candidate. That's that elastic workforce idea, right? They want you to be expansive in your skill sets, that you are nimble in moving into some different areas that sometimes people wouldn't normally be able to move into. The more you can showcase that within your professional skills at the top of your resume, your cover letter, if you speak to certain value proposition that you bring to the company, based on the top 3 different essential responsibilities or duties in that job posting, I think that you're going to start being a little bit more specific to answering the questions of why do they need you? How do you help solve their problems? And how are you going to be the best person to help them? I look at it from that frame of reference because that's what a talent acquisition person and a hiring manager is going to do. They're going to look at you that specifically. Why should I talk to this person over the last one that I just interviewed? What is it that makes that person unique? Is it that you have an assertiveness and an initiative and a resourcefulness to get things done? Is it that you have exceptional communication skills, which more and more, one of the valued skills is, can you take complex information and make it simple for the end user? This could be in a lot of training and development kinds of positions. This can be in user interface positions. But this simplifying complex to the people that need to use it is becoming an exceptional skill that is needed for a variety of positions, especially if you're a technical person who can do this well. This might be used in some sales enablement kinds of positions as well, where you're supporting product technology and sales staff to actually bring it out to the consumer and to help them understand what they need to know, and that it doesn't have to be as techy as the powers that be who work with it all the time make it, right? Let's talk about creativity. Are you an out-of-the-box thinker? Have you some demonstrated ability where you have done some incredibly creative projects and it's gotten attention, recognition, and it's been noticed. That's important to put in a value proposition on your resume to say, hey, I've done this. This is what got results, and this is what happened. People often forget to put impact and results relevant things in their resume that don't have to be just numbers. This is like, how did you make a difference? You know, they want to know that. How are you in your decision-making skills, critical thinking skills? If you're analytical and you're really good at that, where do you bring those skills, right? How do you transition if you are a mathematically minded person from engineering to statistician to database management to data analytics, et cetera, because more and more of those areas are being used. Do you have exceptional organization skills? What can you use those for? Project management, exceptionally, yes, needs those skills. Scrum master, different kinds of positions that some of you have noted need those organization skills exceptionally well, right? Anytime that you're in the role of an arranger, which is one of the Gallup-Clifton Strength Finder strengths that I have actually, it's the choreographer, the conductor, right? You are the project manager, bringing all the different pieces together and seeing how it all plays out. Be thoughtful about how you do what you do if you have those skill sets, because they're very unique and not everyone does. Are you an exceptional relator? Can you empathize with people? Can you talk to people? Team and people skills, customer experience manager skills, HR experience manager positions. More and more of these positions are becoming top of mind and very much needed, especially in the remote moving to hybrid working, work-life balance kind of role, right? You know, we're all looking to help people do that better. Anybody who has customer service, you know, we would call customer service people skills, soft skills. I'm going to tell you they're becoming more and more important. I'm tying this to professionalism. I'm tying this to integrity, that you have a way of treating other people and being kind and respectful, and you're not afraid to talk to people, is becoming less and less found. You know, I mean, I think that, you know, in the digital world, we get very accustomed to not necessarily having best face forward. And I think that anyone who can bring their best face forward and their best person professionalism forward is going to really make a difference in that interview, especially if you're doing the online interviewing or the phone interviewing. Having an ability to talk to somebody on the phone professionally or just face-to-face professionally is becoming something that's more rare now, believe it or not. Okay, other skills, networking skills, ability to learn. Have any of you been hired because you have an exceptional ability to learn a new program and you're going to train other people so that they can do it exceptionally well? Sometimes people are hired for their ability to learn programs and their ability to learn things quickly and train others. Something to think about if you're a learner, and that's another Gallup-Clifton Strength Finder strength, and you have a love of learning. This is more than just, I learn things quickly and I can be exceptional at it. This is really, I have a skill, a unique skill that is, I can learn things at a record-breaking pace. I am able to whittle down that information and train other people and mentor other people in it. And this is something that you need. Okay, you can see how that might be very strong rather than saying, I'm a quick learner, right? No, you're more than that. Change management, if you love change, if you're able to spearhead change, if you're able to embrace it and think out of the box with it. Companies are changing more than ever these days. And I think it's exceptional for you to be able to say, you know what? I'm a change management specialist. Or if you don't do that, you are somebody who can spearhead change. Those are some skills that you might not think about, but if you can do that and you can show that you've done that, that might give you an extra foot in the door, especially if they have a project they need to launch and they got a bunch of people that don't want to do it. I'm kind of like bringing my psychology background in here, you guys, because there are a lot of nuts and bolts around what challenges a company might face, and a lot of it's people and maybe a lack of willingness to go there or do something different. You being a newbie from the outside and coming in, you see things differently, you give a fresh perspective, and you can be more objective, which also means that you bring a wealth of your previous knowledge and former knowledge into a new company, even if it's in a different industry. So I want to say, don't underestimate how valuable that is with what you are bringing with you. Being a newbie has its benefits. Are you an exceptional coach, mentor, leader? You can do that in a variety of different areas, and you can learn those other areas. If you're transitioning to a different industry, if you're transitioning to a different type of work or product base, service base, you can be thoughtful about the same thing that you do. You're transitioning into something else, and that's a bridge for you, even in a new area that you might not need to be an expert in. And then I kind of throw out there, we talked about analyzing and problem solving out of the box stuff, but I want to talk about motivation, being strategic, quality focused, quality oriented, and results oriented. These are some qualifiers that we might say, in that job posting, you might see under the job requirements, a strategic mindset. Yes, that tends to be something very common, but strategic mindset is also a good planner. They're somebody who has exceptional decision-making abilities and critical thinking skills, right? Somebody who's motivated, let's say, yes, you're an achiever, and there are a lot of achievers out there, but what makes you special as an achiever? Is it how you have the ability to relate to other people and influence other people to get things done? And has that been successful for you and how you've used that in the past? So I wanted to give you guys some new ways of looking at some of these things, because it's important to know, well, what do I do that's different? And to not forget about that, because who you are and what you do, how you do what you do, and why you do what you do is just as important as what you do. And in fact, those are the reasons why you are going to get hired. So give people a realistic experience of working with you as soon as you possibly can. And that starts in the networking and the connecting stage of the job search piece. Feel free to unmute, throw some things out there, anything that's hitting with you, anything you have questions about, feel free to share.
Sheila, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Thank you very, very much. Seemed like spot on advice from you. Always great to hear from you. But yeah, let's see if there are any questions.